Well, that just happened. I ain't gonna lie. I'm shocked. Utterly shocked by this about face from Wizards. Um, really, really shocked. Um, it is not what I expected. Not what I expected at all. I honest to God expected them to double down and say, nope, this is our money making machine and you cannot have any part of it. Ultimately, they would not have used those exact words, although I wouldn't put it past this current president. She doesn't know the business. To her, that could be, oh yeah, that's fine. They got to understand it's a money printing machine for us. But I'll get into her again a little later. But I really did not expect this. And yeah, it's absolutely everybody involved, from every YouTuber, everybody who talked about it, everybody who signed the petitions should be doing a victory lap, patting themselves on the back and saying, "Job well done." Now, is this over? No, no, not at all. I don't think it is. I think there's still some rough waters ahead for D&D as a brand, but I'll get into that. But this right here is really something. I really would have liked to have been a fly in the wall during some of these meetings. That more so to see this about face than the actual thought process that went into the original mess. The original mess, we we figured it out. We know what they were after. They thought that they could, yank the rug out from anybody, all their competitors, and just dominate the market and just print money as they force people over to a more digital version of D&D, where they can microtransaction them to death. and that was clearly their end goal. I have no doubt of that. But somebody somewhere within that company said, look, y'all need to listen to me as if your jobs depend on it, because they do. This current course isn't going to work. So here's what we need to do. And somebody had the sense to do it. Somebody somewhere had the sense to say this to the people in charge. And they went, yeah, okay, you know what? We're going to listen to the people who know this business better, at least on some level. Now, if you want to be a real cynic, you can look at this as just no. This is just they're still biding their time. I don't, and that's okay. Now, and that cynicism is not unjustified. And as somebody, and I'll say, I don't like unjustified cynicism, but this is justified. However, I think that they realized their back was to the wall. And I think that was what led to this. I was going to do another video where I talked about why I don't think they ever wanted this to get challenged in court. And there was a chance, even if they stayed on course, it would have never been challenged in court, because all the people who would have been victimized by it, so to speak, were taking off and going somewhere else. And you need to have somebody, you need to actually show damages to be able to sue somebody over what's going on in a business sense, in a broad sense. So you got to actually show damages. And if all the people that would have been hurt by this basically just left and said, well, we're not going to fight for this anymore, we're going to go over to the orc, or we're going to put our game and our products in open game or Creative Commons, or do our own open gaming license, it wouldn't have went anywhere anyway. Wizards would have gotten away with it. But I think I'm going to theorize here. I'm going to say a couple things happened here. One, not only was the fan base just scattering and saying, nope, we're out of here. And by their own admission, the 10,000 submissions to this stupid survey were so overwhelming that, no, you're screwing us over and we ain't gonna play ball with you anymore, that they kind of went, okay. And then other people pointed out, you want feedback, Wizards? There's 80,000 names on the Open OGL petition right now. There's, the rumor is at least over 40,000 one D&D subscriptions have been canceled. That's pretty good feedback right there. Now, I don't know the exact numbers. I'm just sort of throwing them out there. That's what I've heard. But I think in a couple ways they realize their back was to the wall. Number one, these people can just walk away. They are not beholden to your brand. People who love D&D know, the vast majority of them know there are competitors' products out there that they can just go over to. So they're not beholden to you at all. So bye. I think a lot of this backlash also really did make it into the mass media market amongst people. And people started, I know there were investors and news networks and the business aspects of news networks that were openly mocking Wizards of the Coast, saying, "Are you kidding me? What company does this? This is insane. This is clearly people who don't know their product." And that's a fact. So the fact that you have actual business people and actual investors, people who own stocks in this company, were starting to say stuff publicly like, "Whoa, I don't know the first thing about tabletop role-playing games, but my God, I do know about money and I do know about business. And this is a disaster, Wizards of the Coast. And I don't understand what's actually happening, but I know that what you're doing is screwing up my ability to make money off of my stocks in your company. Knock it off." So it wasn't the fans, the fan base, the customers really were the initial 100,000 dominoes, whatever you want to say. But then it grew out from there. And I've said before, I think Wizards really expected some level of backlash. But I think in their mind, they were just going to say, we'll weather it. We'll be okay. At the end of the day, we'll get what we want. And we'll be back into, we'll be printing money for ourselves again. So there was a lot of things going on here. And somebody saw the writing on the wall. And somebody said, "Look, guys, not only can we not," and I think the other part of their motivation to do this was, I think they realized that if they actually did get challenged in court, they could not possibly win. Because when the person who originally wrote the OGL 1.0A came out and from the very beginning was saying, "No, this was never intended to be revocable," you know what? That means something. He's going to go testify in a trial, in a hearing, and he's going to say that. No, that's why we use the terminology that we did. We use that terminology. And I've heard legal experts argue that at the time they wrote 1.0A, that was all you needed to do to clearly state it was not revocable, was the wording that they used. Now, I don't have the wording right in front of me. That was enough. You didn't actually have to explicitly state that this license was irrevocable or non-revocable, whatever the case is. And that years later, there was case law that came out that said, no, you do need it to be revoked. So I think there's a decent chance that the lawyer team at Wizards screwed up. And this is very possible. This does happen in the legal world, where you're looking at case law and you go, okay, well, there's the case law that says we're golden. However, they don't take it any farther than that and go, well, but this was written before that. So the likelihood of that wording being grandfathered in a trial and saying, oh no, it's unrevocable because they used the proper wording at the time before this case law was established, yeah, they're dead in the water. And I think there's a chance that they realized that, and somebody on their legal team went, stop. We cannot risk this challenge in court. We will lose. The likelihood of losing is so overwhelming, we can't go there. And so on some level, we need to just pump the brakes, back up, and say, our bad, we made a mistake, 1.0A is not going to be touched, and as a sign of good faith, we're going to move just about everything related to 5th edition over to a Creative Commons license as a sign of good faith. And boy, did somebody have a real eureka moment there. When they said, no, we not only do we need to just leave 1.0A alone as is, we need to really show the community that we are serious about being good stewards of this intellectual property. And this is one way to do it. So give yourselves a pat on the back and You know, this is a massive victory. But is it over? I don't think so. I don't think this is over. And it's not that I'm not a cynical person by nature. Like I said before, I hate sin. I hate unjustified cynicism, and but here this cynicism is a little justified. And there's two key things that are still bugging me. And I have not watched a lot of follow up or analysis. I'll probably go listen to Roll for Combat on this because he gives excellent analysis on this and breaks it down. There's two things that are still kind of bugging me. Now I'm sure that this is not an exhaustive list. There's other things, other potential issues that can come up throughout this whole thing that haven't been addressed yet. But the first thing is that they said 1.0A is going to be left as it is. Okay, good. But if you're going to take 5th edition and you're going to pretty much move 5th edition over to a Creative Commons license in a public sense, why not publicly state that 1.0A is just irrevocable? Why not at the very least say, hey guys, after kind of thinking about this, we realized that we made a mistake and we misunderstood 1.0A and its original intent because we have a different management team. And again, I'm talking from a way that they could have presented this. We've got a different management team and we didn't fully take, we failed to fully appreciate the value of this. So ultimately moving forward, we accept it is unrevocable and it will always be there. And so party on to your heart's content. We're sorry. But they didn't do that. Now, they did apologize, but why not just admit publicly that 1.0A is irrevocable? Not just leave it alone, because they said, we're going to just leave it alone. It stands as is. We're going to just leave it alone. And I think that they're trying to keep something in their back pocket for later use, where they feel, okay, maybe the legal winds have changed. Case law has changed, or they've lined up just the right kind of, they have just the right judges in just the right place that they feel that they can, based on their those particular judges' previous rulings, and these rulings would mostly go through the Ninth Circuit, which I used to work in the Ninth Circuit when I was a police officer up around Seattle, and we used to call it the Ninth Circus for good reason. That place is crazy as far as the judges and some of the bizarreness. So they may just sit there and wait for a really bizarre judge to show up who rules these weird ways and go, hey, we got a shot. Let's revoke 1.0A again. Now, this may not happen for 10, 20, 30 years, but there's a chance it could happen. And that's one thing that makes me a little uneasy about this whole thing. Why not just say, hey, 1.0A is unrevocable there? And just like we're moving 5th edition over to Creative Commons and basically the entire SRD over to Creative Commons as a sign of good faith, so it's out of our hands, why not just say the exact same thing with 1.0A? That struck me as weird. That struck me as a very weird thing to do. So maybe it's just an oversight on their part, and ultimately in the end they will come out and say, oh, well, yes, we did not explicitly say it, but in the end we admit 1.0A is irrevocable and it's always going to be out there and it's just the way it works, and we as a company have to accept that. And no matter who takes over this company, if they come in and they don't understand that, then they're not right for the job. And we should continue as a company to look for somebody who's going to be a better steward. So that's the first thing that bugs me. The second thing that bugs me is and I understand why they may not mention it outright, but I do want this to be asked. And I know they're going to be doing these kind of town hall meeting type things with developers. I know I watched Bob the World Builder said he got an email saying, hey, we would like you to take part in these meetings with management at Wizards. We're definitely trying to reestablish connection with our influencer community and the YouTube community and and this is a good move on their part. I really hope they have a better team in charge of this than the rollout of from last month, a couple of weeks ago, who understands what they're doing and knows how to handle PR stuff properly and in a sincere way and go, yeah, we screwed up and, we're going to be humble about this rather than getting out there and being a bunch of doofuses, because this could also blow up in their face if they don't handle this right. And what during these meetings, and they said, look, we're going to just take questions, and they'll be as private or as public as you want. And most people I know in that survey that I signed off on said, hey, this should be as public as can be, and I agree with that. But one of the questions I want to see asked is, along with issues regarding 1.0A and why aren't you just saying that it's irrevocable, I want to see, are you going to replace management with people who understand this industry or this subset of the industry, the tabletop role-playing game sub-industry? Are you going to do that? Because let's be honest, I don't think the people that have been brought into Wizards to run it as a money-making machine like they did video games, I don't think they're the right choice. Now there's a lot of caveats to this, but I think it is a fair thing to ask, are we going to get people who understand this industry? And the people you brought in can still serve Wizards, and they can still do something as consultants for when they actually move to this VTT that they're going to publish. That's fine. But can we please get somebody who really understands the industry? I think this is a fair question. And I think that would also be a good sign to us. Now, I understand there's a lot of stuff going on in the background there. There's contracts, and it's not like, and there's a board, there's, the investors, there's probably board of directors and things, and it gets really messy, and very, very, can be very complicated. And so she may have a contract for a couple years, and to let her out, it's going to cost them a ton of money. On the other hand, they could say, well, we think that she can still do a good job here. Maybe not in the way you understand it, but we still think, I'm leery of that. But that brings me on to what's going to happen with this one D&D thing. So they're still going to roll out the virtual tabletop. And that was another huge sticking point that they admitted to, that our virtual tabletop policy was garbage. It was people were mocking it, relentlessly, and it deserved it in every way, shape, and form. But as far as what are they going to do with their virtual tabletop? Well, their virtual tabletop is going to they're going to roll it out, and it's kind of, in some ways, it's back to what people originally said that it should be. Look, you want to enter the virtual tabletop market. There's nothing wrong with that. You're Wizards of the Coast. You're the stewards of D&D. Yeah, sure. Put out an amazing product, and we'll consider switching over from Foundry or Roll20 or the other ones. I know there's a few others. Those are the only two that I'm really have ever had any experience with. Let us decide if your product is worth investing in. Put it out there in the free marketplace. And if it ain't good, it ain't good. People aren't going to buy it. If it rocks, people will buy it. And sure, you'll have microtransactions in it and some of that stuff. And, that's not even that big of a deal. Even you go into Foundry VTT and it's not microtransactions, but you can buy certain libraries that you don't normally have access to, like the artwork for all the monster manual or the first monster manual, and I think subsequent monster manuals. And it ain't cheap, but you also understand, you are paying for a product that was otherwise free for some people. Because only the guy running the game needs to have Foundry. And if he plays enough and it's like, oh, you know what, I really do want the artwork for the monsters and my token. So yeah, I'll drop the money on that and I'll buy the access to that library and yeah, I'll just use it. So that's most people look at that. That's a reasonable purchase to make, in terms of quality of product that's worth paying for. And that's all your VTT should have been from the beginning. This we're going to destroy the marketplace so that they have no choice to come to us was really scummy on so many levels, Wizards. Really, really scummy. Even as a real, admittedly, free market libertarian type guy, what you were doing was very, not just morally, but legally questionable on multiple levels. So yeah, no, you have to go fight in the free marketplace as well. The free marketplace, and you have to deal with the same things that everybody else out there does. You don't get to destroy your opponents through a couple, off camera legalese bullshit. No, you should have been playing above board from the beginning, but you weren't. So that's another, and that's another thing. It's like they thought this was okay to do from the beginning. And those people still work there that chose to do it that way. So again, this kind of goes back to, I think those people kind of need to go. I think you will never, ever, ever fully get the trust of people involved back, so long as those people are there. And I'm one, unless those people explicitly come out and say, yeah, you know what, we screwed up. Now look, Baez, the current president, was brought in to monetize and take as much money from you as possible. Don't deny it at this point. I was brought in to take as much money, but I'm getting a better understanding of how this market works. Now, I'm going to make a commitment to you that I'm going to give you a product you'll want to buy. And we're not going to overburden you with microtransactions and subscriptions. Sure, we are going to have some. We have to stay solvent as a company. We have to be able to make money to keep making products. Hey, I think people will understand that, and they're not going to pay. They're going to worry about paying $10 a month if what you're getting out of it is awesome. So with that in mind, Wizards, that's what you should have done from the beginning. So, and I think a lot of people will go back because it probably will be a really good VTT because they're putting more money into it than any other VTT out there in the market, without a doubt. So it'll probably be very good. I'm still a little bit shocked about the whole thing. It's by making this Sunday. This all happened, I want to say Thursday. So as far as my video channel goes, and because I was there to usher in people away from D&D who were fleeing in droves, and a lot of them are going to go back. And you know what? That's fine. Now, I think a big portion of the community is going to go out. They've already done videos. I was shocked at how quickly some of these people whose entire online persona centered around D&D stuff. I was shocked at how quickly some of them basically said, not only did they say, okay, we're done with that. Hey, I found this great new RPG that my group wants to try, and I'm really excited about it. I mean, we're talking like a turnover of like less than 2 weeks for some of these people. That was really shocking. And I think some of those people are going to stay on that path. And they're going to go explore other tabletop RPGs. And their channels are going to become more diversified. And I think that's a good thing in general. So a lot of people are going to continue on that course. So there will be plenty of people to kind of come in and play Pathfinder and other tabletop stuff. And I think even a lot of those people will end up going back, a good chunk will go back to D&D. Go, you know what? I tried Pathfinder. I tried Deadlands. I tried some of the other systems that are out there. And you know what? I appreciate that I tried them and they were good, but they weren't what I was really looking for. There's nothing wrong with that. Find what you really enjoy. But I still think a lot of them are going to go out and go, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to continue to play D&D, but I'm also going to play Pathfinder, and I'm also going to play a vampire campaign, and I'm also going to play Call of Cthulhu now. And to me, this whole new world has opened up. And so to those people, I say, good on you. So many people are realizing so many more choices now that before they just may have never even thought about even going to look at. It's like, I just really enjoy D&D. I know there's other RPGs out there, but horror RPGs? I don't know, man. That doesn't, a vampire? I get to play a vampire, a werewolf. I get to go play an undead in this game, or a dark elf in this game, and this setting has you playing, guys piloting giant mechs. I don't know, man. This is really far from what how I got into this hobby. And so just as many people get excited about it, some people will be like, I don't know. So I'm going to just continue as I was. I think I still have a lot of experience to offer the gaming community in general. We're still trying to set up the actual plays that we're going to record and post with me, my brothers, and some other friends of mine. So for me, it's carry on as I was. I don't see any problems with that. I'm still trying to get kind of a generalized schedule going. I would like to, put out videos on a regular basis about various topics. But I'm also not going to push myself to the point where this isn't fun for me anymore. But I am happy with this victory, and I am looking forward to things both settling down and stirring back and getting so stirred up. So this is still kind of an exciting time to be a tabletop role player. I'm still excited about the possibilities, and I'm glad to see that at least for the time being, Wizards has stabilized and pulled back on their crap. So celebrate. Celebrate for the win. Celebrate for your horizons being expanded. Celebrate that, and for those who are happy with it, for those who get to go back to a product that they originally enjoyed and never wanted to leave in the first place. So, all around, pats on the back for everybody. For right now, this is Wintermute out.